The Zorth Dominion's response was swift and brutal, an effort to reclaim their battered pride and erase the humiliation of their defeat at New Horizon. Wave after wave of Zorth fleets surged across Terran borders, targeting colonies, trade routes, and resource stations with calculated ferocity. Humanity braced itself for a conflict that stretched across the stars, each battle escalating in scale and intensity. Despite their efforts, the Zorth quickly discovered that humanity's capacity for adaptation was unlike anything they had encountered before. The Federation's high command implemented strategies that exploited the Dominion's reliance on brute force and predictable tactics. Every loss was a lesson, every retreat a recalibration. What began as a desperate defense evolved into a calculated campaign of resistance and counterattack. Admiral Hayes led the charge in the war's most critical battles, her name becoming synonymous with defiance and brilliance. On the bridge of the Resolute, she studied holographic projections of the galactic front. The Zorth fleets were vast, their dreadnoughts dominating the void, but humanity had turned the tide through precision strikes and guerrilla tactics. "They fight like an avalanche," Hayes mused aloud to her officers. "Overwhelming at first, but prone to fracture if we strike the right pressure points." Her words proved prophetic. During the Battle of Sirius Gate, the Terran fleet ambushed a massive Zorth convoy in a narrow hyperspace corridor. Using stealth ships and decoy signals, they trapped the Dominion forces in a deadly crossfire. The victory was decisive, crippling the Zorth supply lines and forcing their fleet to retreat deeper into their own territory. As humanity's reputation grew, so did their alliances. The once neutral Karen Collective, a species of biomechanical intellects, offered their support after witnessing humanity's innovative approach to warfare. The Selyon, a nomadic race who had long resisted Zorth domination, pledged their fleet in a gesture of solidarity. Even the Relath, former rivals of the Terran Federation, joined the coalition after a daring rescue of their stranded diplomats by a human task force. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity, a species once dismissed as naive newcomers, united disparate factions into a coalition of defiance. Yet, Alec Morgan knew that alliances alone would not be enough. Seated in a war council aboard the Resolute, Alec addressed the gathered leaders. "This war is not just about survival," he said. "It's about sending a message to the Zorth, to the Council, to every species in the galaxy. We will not bow to tyranny. Together, we can reshape this galaxy into one where power does not come at the expense of peace." The final confrontation loomed, a clash that would determine the fate of the war. Intelligence reports indicated that General Zarn himself had consolidated the Dominion's remaining forces near their homeworld, Zorth Prime. The system was fortified with orbital defenses, minefields, and an armada of warships. "We'll never have a better chance," Hayes declared during the strategy briefing. "If we can destroy their command structure, the Dominion will fracture. But it won't be easy." The coalition fleet gathered in what would be the largest military operation in galactic history. Over 1,000 ships from dozens of species assembled, their combined firepower dwarfing anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity's finest ships, including the Resolute, formed the vanguard. Soldiers in Mark 7 exosuits boarded transports, ready for ground combat on Zorth Prime. The battle began with a coordinated assault on the Dominion's orbital defenses. Terran stealth ships spearheaded the attack, disabling key installations before the main fleet engaged. The void erupted into chaos as ships exchanged volleys of energy blasts and missiles. Admiral Hayes directed the coalition with surgical precision, her commands weaving a tapestry of destruction that unraveled the Zorth's defenses. On the ground, Alec Morgan led a strike team to infiltrate the Dominion's central command complex. Clad in lightweight armor and armed with cutting-edge weaponry, the team moved through the alien landscape under cover of darkness. Alec's dual role as diplomat and strategist had earned him the respect of soldiers and leaders alike, and his presence inspired confidence even in the face of overwhelming odds. Inside the command complex, the strike team encountered fierce resistance. Zorith soldiers, their scaled forms bristling with weapons, fought with desperate ferocity. Alec's team advanced through narrow corridors and towering halls, their exosuits granting them the edge needed to overcome the defenders. Finally, they reached the central control room, where General Zarn awaited. The Zorith leader stood defiant, his golden eyes blazing with hatred. "You should have stayed in your council chambers, human," he snarled. Alec stepped forward unarmed, his expression unyielding. "And you should have heeded our warnings, General. This war was your choice, but its end will be ours." Zarn lunged, his massive frame moving with terrifying speed. The strike team opened fire, their weapons pounding against his personal shield. Alec ducked beneath a clawed swipe and activated a compact energy blade, driving it into Zarn's side. The general roared in pain but fought on, his strength immense. It took the combined efforts of the entire team to subdue him. As Zarn collapsed, his shield flickering out, Alec delivered the final words the Zorith would ever hear from their leader. "You thought humanity was weak. Now, you'll see what happens when we stand united." With the command structure in shambles and their forces scattered, the Zorith Dominion surrendered. The war at last was over. In the aftermath, Alec addressed the Galactic Council once more, this time from a position of undeniable strength. "We do not seek to dominate," he said, "but will not allow our future to be dictated by fear. Let this war serve as a reminder. Peace is not weakness, and unity is our greatest strength." The galaxy began to rebuild, the scars of war still fresh, but the promise of a brighter future on the horizon. Humanity, once underestimated and overlooked, emerged as a beacon of resilience and innovation, forever changing the balance of power among the stars. The announcement rippled across the Terran Federation like a shockwave, igniting a firestorm of urgency and resolve. Alec Morgan's broadcast was direct and uncompromising, his voice filling every corner of Earth and its colonies. "The Zorith Dominion has chosen war," he declared, "and they will learn the cost of underestimating humanity. To every citizen, every soldier, every scientist, prepare. The time has come to show the galaxy who we are." Factories once dedicated to civilian production transformed overnight into centers of military output. Cities on Earth's surface, lunar outposts, and orbital stations alike buzzed with activity as humanity's war machine roared to life. Engineers and technicians worked tirelessly to retool assembly lines, churning out warships, weapons, and armor at an unprecedented pace. Scientists in state-of-the-art laboratories pushed the limits of Terran ingenuity, refining experimental technology that had long been relegated to research projects. Among them, Admiral Kara Hayes stood at the heart of this effort, overseeing the mobilization of the Terran fleet. A veteran of countless skirmishes and a master tactician, she was a symbol of humanity's resolve. On board the flagship Resolute, she reviewed the growing fleet, a vast array of sleek warships bristling with weaponry, their surfaces gleaming under the light of nearby stars. "Our strength lies not just in firepower," Kara addressed her officers during a briefing, "but in our ability to adapt. We'll strike where they least expect it, and we'll fight with every ounce of ingenuity that defines us." As Earth's combined forces prepared for war, the spirit of unity transcended national and cultural boundaries. Volunteers from every corner of the Federation stepped forward, pilots, engineers, soldiers, and medics. Training centers expanded operations to accommodate the influx of recruits. Among the enlisted was a young technician named Ravi Das, who had worked on cargo freighters before answering the call. He now found himself stationed on the Resolute, maintaining its cutting-edge systems. "We don't get a second chance," he confided to a fellow recruit. "If we lose, it's not just Earth. It's everything we've built out here." Meanwhile, on the moon Europa, humanity's top scientists unveiled the culmination of their research, the Mark 7 exosuit. Lightweight yet incredibly durable, it augmented the wearer's strength and reflexes, integrating seamlessly with neural implants for rapid response times. Soldiers fitted with the exosuits became walking arsenals, capable of feats that would have been impossible mere decades ago. Among the most closely guarded secrets, however, was humanity's advancement in stealth technology. The Phantom Wing, a fleet of experimental fighters equipped with cloaking systems, represented a game-changing weapon. Their development had been so secretive that not even the Council suspected their existence. When the Zorth Dominion launched its first attack, it targeted New Horizon, a human colony on the fringes of Terran space. The Zorth fleet descended with overwhelming force, their massive dreadnoughts unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that shattered the colony's orbital defenses. Fires raged on the surface as civilians scrambled for shelter, their screams echoing through the comm channels. Admiral Hayes responded immediately, leading the Terran fleet into the fray. What the Zorth expected to be a swift conquest turned into a calculated trap. Hayes had studied the Dominion's tactics and anticipated their arrogance. Human ships appeared to retreat at first, drawing the Zorth into a narrow asteroid field. "Engage the net," Hayes commanded, her voice calm and precise. Hidden mines, disguised as debris, detonated in synchronized explosions, crippling several Zorth ships. The Resolute and its fleet surged forward, exploiting the chaos. Terran warships, smaller but faster, darted between the hulking Dominion vessels, targeting weak points with precision. The Phantom Wing emerged from cloaked positions, striking critical systems before vanishing into the void. Ravi, stationed in the engineering bay of the Resolute, worked frantically to maintain the ship's systems under the strain of battle. The deck shuddered with each impact, and alarms blared as damage reports poured in. Despite the chaos, he felt a grim determination. "We're holding," he muttered, as if willing it to be true. On the ground, soldiers in Mark 7 exosuits engaged Zorth forces in brutal combat. What the Dominion had assumed would be an easy victory turned into a bloody stalemate. The exosuits gave human soldiers an edge in speed and strength, allowing them to outmaneuver and overpower their adversaries. By the time the Zorth fleet realized the battle had turned against them, it was too late. Admiral Hayes ordered a final push, concentrating fire on the Dominion flagship. A coordinated barrage from the Resolute and its allies pierced the ship's shields and destroyed its core, sending it spiraling into a nearby moon. The remaining Zorth forces retreated, leaving New Horizon battered but defiant. In the aftermath, Alec Morgan addressed the galaxy once more, his voice carried on every channel. "This is what happens when you provoke humanity," he said. "We are not conquerors. We do not seek war. But if you bring it to us, we will fight. And we will win." The victory sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Humanity had not just survived. It had demonstrated a level of coordination, innovation, and resolve that few had anticipated. On New Horizon, civilians began to rebuild with the assistance of the Federation, their determination mirroring that of the soldiers who had defended them. Back aboard the Resolute, Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the stars. She knew the battle was only the beginning. The Zorth Dominion had been humiliated, but their hunger for conquest would not be sated so easily. "Send word to command," she said. "The war is far from over, and we'll be ready for whatever comes next." Far from Earth, General Zarn seethed aboard his warship, his pride wounded, but his resolve hardened. He would not underestimate humanity again. Yet even in his anger, a sliver of unease crept into his mind. Humanity, he realized, was not just another species to conquer. They were something far more dangerous. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with tension, a symphony of low murmurs and clinking data tablets as representatives from dozens of star systems convened under the domed ceiling that glittered like a starlit sky. At the heart of the room stood a circular platform, a neutral zone for interstellar diplomacy and debate. Today, that neutrality was hanging by a thread. General Zarn of the Zorith Dominion, his scaled armor catching the artificial light, loomed over the platform. His golden eyes narrowed as he surveyed the human delegation. The Zorith were a warlike species, their empire forged in blood and conquest. Their leader exuded arrogance as he spoke, his voice a guttural growl that echoed through the chamber. "You humans," Zarn sneered, "are a fragile species, clinging to your homeworld like insects to a leaf. Your technology, your so-called diplomacy, it's a facade. You will either cede the sector or face the full wrath of the Dominion." Seated among the Terran delegation, Ambassador Alec Morgan maintained his composure. His steel-gray eyes locked onto Zarn's, betraying no fear, only the faintest flicker of controlled fury. Alec was known for his ability to remain unflappable under pressure, his reputation as the Terran Federation's most skilled negotiator preceding him. His tailored suit and impeccable posture were a stark contrast to the brutish form of Zarn, and yet it was Alec's silence that commanded attention. "General Zarn," Alec finally said, his tone measured, "your accusations are as baseless as your claims to our territory. The Terran Federation has honored every treaty and upheld every agreement. It is your incursions into neutral space that violate the accords." Zarn laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Accords? Treaties? These are tools of the weak. The Dominion takes what it desires, and we desire your sector. Submit now, and perhaps we'll allow a few of your colonies to remain intact." The chamber erupted into murmurs. Representatives from allied and neutral species exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity's position in the galactic order was precarious. They were new to interstellar politics, a fledgling power compared to the ancient empires surrounding them. But their rapid technological advancements and unwavering unity had drawn both admiration and envy. Now it seemed they were to be tested. Alec stepped onto the central platform, his movements deliberate. The room fell silent. He stood opposite Zarn, dwarfed by the general's imposing stature, yet there was no mistaking the gravity of his presence. "We do not seek conflict," Alec said, his voice calm but carrying an edge that cut through the air. "But do not mistake our preference for peace as a lack of resolve. Humanity is prepared to defend its people, its worlds, and its future." Zarn's eyes gleamed with predatory delight. "Bold words, Ambassador. But words do not win wars." Alec's lips curled into a faint smile. "No, they don't. Actions do. And humanity's actions have always spoken louder than words." The general's amusement faded, replaced by a growl. "Then let us see how loud you can scream when we reduce your worlds to ash." Alec's expression hardened. "Is that your final position?" "It is a promise." The air seemed to grow heavier, the tension crackling like static electricity. Alec let the moment hang before stepping closer to the Zorith leader. When he spoke again, his voice was steel wrapped in velvet. "You want war? Fine. You will have it. But know this. When you challenge humanity, you challenge a species that has risen from the ashes of its own destruction time and again. We are not fragile. We are not weak. We endure. And we learn." The chamber was silent, the weight of Alec's words sinking into every corner. Even the Zorith delegation appeared taken aback, their sneers faltering. Alec turned to address the council as a whole. "Let this be recorded. Humanity has extended every courtesy, pursued every avenue of diplomacy, and adhered to every principle of fairness. If the Zorith Dominion wishes to test our resolve, then we will meet them on the battlefield. And we will prevail." Without waiting for a response, Alec descended from the platform and strode toward the exit, his steps echoing in the vast chamber. The human delegation followed, their faces set with grim determination. Outside, the Terran flagship hovered in orbit, a symbol of the unity and strength that Alec had just promised to unleash. As he boarded the shuttle, Alec activated his communicator. His voice carried a sharpness that left no room for doubt. Begin full mobilization. Notify the High Command. If the Zorith Dominion wants a war, we'll give them a war they'll never forget. The shuttle doors closed behind him, and the stars beckoned. The council chamber's stillness gave way to whispers of unease and anticipation. The galaxy had underestimated humanity before. It would not do so again.